For 30 years, Arlington Independent Media has provided the community with the finest in local television. Nearly 10,000 local residents have been trained in the art and science of TV production. AIM programming comes in every style and genre, and it's all produced by volunteers. Every day at AIM, independent voices are building our community.
I had a meeting at 9 o'clock, so I just kind of went through to the E-quarters and was waiting for the meeting to start. And I think we had just started the meeting.
I had been watching the TV as long as we could, listen to the spin doctors and the analysts talk about all that had happened in New York, and I was actually standing over by the window next to my desk, getting ready to go for a run. I said, I just need to clear my head and go out for a run, and that's when the airplane hit the Pentagon.
And all of a sudden, it was just like the Pentagon had been picked up and kind of moved an inch or something. It was really a weird feeling. And I remember the tiles falling out of the ceiling. And we all just jumped up and started to run.
I remember just getting lifted up momentarily. My left foot seemed to be lifted up. And I looked up and I saw just a huge flash and kind of a fireball with debris coming towards the window. I thought for sure that was it. I thought, I don't know what this is, a truck bomb or whatever it is, but it's unusual and I'm about to die. Really, that's what I thought.
The Arlington Community Foundation has been supporting nonprofits, students, teachers, and community groups in Arlington for over 20 years. With the support of generous donors, the foundation has been able to provide over $6 million in grants and scholarships. The foundation awards grants to nonprofits that provide medical services, shelter for the homeless, meals for families in need, education programs for youth and seniors, as well as art, dance, and music programs for the community. Through its scholarship program, the foundation helps students achieve their dreams of attending college. The foundation helps community groups get a jump start on their fundraising goals. The foundation also helps individuals and families who want to make a difference through charitable funds that they can create at the Community Foundation. We thank the many donors and volunteers who have helped us build a brighter future for those who work and live in the Arlington community.
You know, for African Americans, really, the change from living in a segregated world to living in a less segregated world was the biggest change. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act passed, and so we went from being in a Jim Crow state to being in a state where it was okay to go into a restaurant and buy a meal, and there were no longer drinking fountains that were labeled colored or white. So it was a big change, and my generation was among the first to desegregate the schools. So I started off in segregated schooling, and then when I was in third grade, I was picked to integrate Patrick Henry Elementary School, which had formerly been all white. And I think I was picked because my dad was president of the PTA, and so, you know, I was a good community representative. And so there was one other African-American child in my class, so there were just the two of us, and he broke his leg shortly after we arrived, so then it was just me. And that was a hard experience, I think. You know, my classmates were having trouble getting used to me, I was having trouble getting used to my classmates, and I remember being called a nigger on the playground, and my grandfather used to drive up and pick me up from school every day, and he would park outside the building and watch to make sure that I was okay. And I'm just glad that he wasn't there the day that I was called a nigger, because I don't know what might have happened. He had a short fuse.
Монгол улсын ерөнхийлөгч Элбэг Доржийн Америкийн нэгдсэн улсад хийж байгаа албан ёсны айлчил үргэлжилж байна. Айлчлалын 2 дахь өдөр буюу 6 дугаар сарын 16-нд гадаадын төр засгийн тэргүүнүүдийн байрладаг Блэр хаусад Монголын худалдаа эдийн засгтай холбоотой хэд хэдэн баримт бичигт гарын үсэг зураглаа. Тухайлбал худалдаа эдийн засгийн хамтын ажиллагааны санамж бичиг, Монгол Америкийн иргэний агаарын тээврийн хамтын ажиллагааг хөгжүүлэх, Монгол улсын агаарын тээврийн чадварыг нэмэгдүүлэх харилцан ойлголцлын санамж.
You know, my fear is actually a double fear. It's people losing their jobs, their federal jobs, but it's also a threat to the social safety network and all of those social programs that the federal government supports now. They have been cut seriously already, and you know, some of the skeptics are saying it's going to get cut even more. So that not only puts people out of work, but then cuts the resources of the agencies who are trying to help. It's really a double dip situation, and that's my biggest fear.
So, Arlingtonians listening, you know, even though it may seem from this conversation that these organizations and the clients that they serve have been able to weather the recession thus far because of what our region looks like and what the engine of growth is, we may not be out of the woods yet.
The last thing on your mind, am I not good enough? Why am I not good enough? Am I the last thing on, am I the last thing on your mind? Am I not good enough? Why am I not good enough for you?
For me, production is problem solving. It's knowing what your goal is at the back end and then figuring out how to get there. You know, if a light doesn't work, how do I get this set up so that I still have something acceptable that I can use? I am a retired Coast Guard officer, and several years before I retired, I was asked to become involved in producing Fast Forward. And so in September of 1991, I took my first studio production class here at then Arlington Community Television. Eventually got to the point where I felt confident to start applying for work in the area. One of the wonderful things about this organization is that there are a lot of people who are happy to share. It's all a matter of, this isn't an adequate word, flow. It's having it happen and having everyone on the same page and everybody contributing to the end product, and everybody knowing what they're supposed to do and confident in what they're supposed to do and happy that they're participating in.
And you know, I've been involved with you know, high school sports, televising high school sports in Arlington going back to 1990. Right. And the athletic directors at all three of the public high schools as well as O'Connell have always been great.
Duncan will launch it. Oh! He makes it!
They made it.
He makes
they
it
made
from beyond half court.
Yeah.
He makes it.
Wow. At the buzzer.
Duncan launches a one-hander from beyond half court, hits the backboard, and falls right in the net.
You know what? I'm going to let this go because we can't do it. I really thought he got it off after the buzzer.
After the buzzer? If we had our van, we could get a replay. Chuck in the truck. He'd be calling this. He'd be calling this replay for like the next 20 minutes, man.
My sister Judy had an unnaturally persistent, sunny disposition. Her face was locked in the grip of a smile during the great majority of her waking hours. Now, she was nice to me when we were children. We played together and had lots of good times. But that smile, I came to hate it. No matter how mundane the activity, I would look up, and there was her cheeky grin. When she was chewing, you could see her facial muscles straining to pull that pie face back into a smile. Washing her face and smiling, getting soap in her mouth, she didn't care. Drying her pretty hair, more smile-inducing joy.
Capoeira is not just a martial art, it's pretty much a culture.
People call it a dance, a fight, and a game. So those three elements all combined.
Anybody can do capoeira. Anybody. Short, tall, heavier skin, anybody. Take a look at my class. You see a lot of people with different backgrounds. You see a lot of people with different bodies.
And I describe capoeira as chess for your body because there has to be a strategy and you are, you don't want the other person to know what you're going to do.
It became, though, at one point, so much of a crisis of conscience for me that I finally decided, well, even if I don't have a job to go to, I can't keep doing this. And that's frankly what I did. I left without having another job to go to.
But you did speak out.
I did. I was reluctant initially. So what happened was more than, I didn't leave just to begin speaking out. I know the health insurance industry quite well, not just from a one company perspective, but I worked in the industry with my peers at the trade association level, and I was a part of efforts to, over the years, to discredit critics. And I was fully anticipating that if I did start speaking out, that they would come after me in some way. But and that's why I was reluctant. It was a year before I actually decided that I had to speak out. I thought that there might be a chance that I could work behind the scenes and maybe serve as an unpaid anonymous consultant to people who were trying to change the healthcare system. But
I'm getting fruit snacks. But I want chips. It's my dollar. Kevin! Now look what you did, stupid. You're stupid. Oh my God. Seriously? We're gonna die in here. Shut up, Jonathan.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Wakefield High School in Warrior Field. It's our first broadcast of the football season here on Arlington Independent Media. I am Afshin Manab, and you will recognize the voice sitting next to me, the man sitting next to me, Christopher Williams of Yorktown High School, and you'll see his pretty face from time to time here on AIM. Hello, Chris.
Afshin, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh man, I'm glad you could join us, and we're doing it a little bit differently this. For our first game, obviously, because of all the construction. We can go over that during the game. A beautiful site we have, actually, with the moon. But we're on the bleacher side, the home field for Wakefield, actually. So it's a little different for us.
Yeah, we're going to al fresco tonight.
Yeah, exactly. So this is homecoming also for Wakefield. And as you said off the air, one of these teams is going to win tonight. They both come into the National District, into this contest at 0-4.
Teleactiva junto a Abby Rodríguez y hoy junto a Ray Parker también conduciendo el programa. La gente se debe estar preguntando, Ahora Ray Parker está haciendo televisión, es parte de Teleactiva. Ya quisiera yo. Ya quisiera tenerlo dentro del programa. Pero también hoy tengo en el programa engalanando el mismo a una reina. A mí me encanta tener a las reinas Parker. La belleza es lo más lindo. Las mujeres latinas se caracterizan por eso.
Ah, no, definitivamente. Como decimos nosotros, la mujer es la que controla, es la que mueve todo.
Ah, qué bueno que así piense, ¿no? Eso está bien. Aquí le enseñaron eso a Rey, dice por allí, me cuentan por allí. Bueno, estoy junto a Marcela Rivera. Ella es reina del Carnaval 2011, acá en los Estados Unidos, del Carnaval cruceño. Y estoy también junto al señor Erwin Rivera Bárbara. Él es presidente de la comparsa Los Ilegales, que están aquí. Un aplauso para mi reina, por favor.
Gracias.
We're here with Terry Pratchett. Terry, welcome back to Fast Forward.
Thank you.
It's been a few years, and we have a great deal to talk about because you keep writing so many books. And SNUFF is, I believe, is being promoted as your 50th novel.
It's the 50th written solely by myself. I mean, I've done a lot of other things in collaboration.
Good Omens with Neil, some of the others.
Yes, and a lot of the Dinoffs, there were diaries and all kinds of other stuff. Yeah, but in terms of actual novels, yes.
And once again, we're following Sam Vimes around. And I have to tell you, as an avid reader of your work, one of the people I think we know best in the entire cast of characters you've introduced us to is Sam.
Everyone seems to be saying that, yeah.
The Planetarium was open in 1969. So during the time of the Apollo missions, when the U.S. was in a space race and science education was viewed as essential to our national security and our prosperity. And this planetarium, like many others around the country, was opened at that time to get kids hooked on science and careers in space.
When I was about 6 years old, I came here with my dad and we went to the Astronomy for Families program. And at the time I was in first grade and I came into this building, there were black lights and there was that spidery Spitz projector, and it was pretty much the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
We went to the planetarium and we saw the Spitz thing that put all the stars up on the dome. At lunch for about 5 or 6 days in a row, that was all anybody talked about.
It offers programming for kids during the day, but it also has public programs on weekends and holidays.
There's always a viewing on Monday nights of the night sky. There's always a telescope outside.
There's the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday shows.
I like how they experimented with light and showed like the different colors of light.
I like the one about the black holes because they're really interesting and no one's actually seen one in real life.
Over 700,000 men and women are released from prison each year.
For over 35 years, OAR has been assisting those coming back to our community, helping them find jobs, housing, and building a support network. You can help by donating Metro Smart Chip cards to provide transportation to job interviews and Target gift cards to provide food and clothing.
It's up to all of us to break the cycle of crime. Lending a hand to our returning neighbors keeps them out of prison and keeps our community safer.
Out of town were the people I knew. I have this feeling of self-pity. What to do, what to do, what to do. The outlook was decidedly blue. I've never seen so many cameras.